So good morning, and let's get started. So thank you very much for joining today's webinar. We'll be talking about driving value and security to customers for MSSPs. My name's Gail Carpenter. I'll be one of your speakers today. Just before we start the webinar, just a few housekeeping items. So firstly, the webinar will be recorded, so will be available as an on-demand webinar after the session. The session should last around about 30 minutes. And if you do have any questions at all during the session, please put them into the chat or the Q&A box, and we will answer them at the end of the session. So before we get into today's topics, just wanted to introduce our speakers today. So as I mentioned, my name is Gail Carpenter. I am the Global MSSP Programme Manager here at Logpoint, and it's my responsibility to work closely with our MSSP partners to ensure that we are delivering security and value to your end user customers. I'm really pleased today to be joined by my colleague Paul Gower. Paul is our Director of Customer Engagement, so he looks after the customer journey from pre-sales through to delivery. Also really pleased that Paul's with us today as he's based in Lisbon, so got caught up yesterday in the outages over there. So Paul, really pleased that you're here today. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, the topic of today's webinar is all around delivering value and security to end user customers for MSSPs. So we're going to be covering a number of different topics in relation to that topic. So firstly, we will be starting with answering the question, why are customers moving towards MSSPs? And what we'll be sharing for 5 or 10 minutes or so is the results of a survey that Logpoint did back end of last year, which surveyed a number of end user organisations as well as MSSPs to ask them some questions about why they are working with MSSPs and why MSSP companies, what MSSPs are looking for a security vendor. So we'll be sharing some of the results to that. I'll then be handing over to Paul, where he will be discussing the role of SIEM and NDR in the MSSP strategy. So why are end user organisations looking for a SIEM and how Logpoint can fit into that MSSP strategy. And then we'll be talking about the new programme that Logpoint has introduced to work a lot more collaboratively with our MSSPs to deliver security and value to your end user customers. As I mentioned, there will be a Q&A at the end if there is any questions, so please feel free to drop those into the box and if you have any questions during the session. So without any further ado, the first question that we'd like to answer today is, why are customers moving to MSSPs? And as I mentioned, at the end of last year, Logpoint undertook a very large survey. We surveyed 1,762 senior decision maker and technology influencers across Europe to answer the question, what does excellence in managed security services look like? And we interviewed a number of different organisations. So this included end user organisations, it included MSSPs, and it included representation from all of our major European countries that we work in. So France, Germany, the Nordics, the UK, and lots of other regions. So it is a very good representation of different organisations and MSSPs across our geographical regions. So this particular survey, which is available for you to have a read of, it gave some very, very interesting insight into the managed security services area. So the first question we asked ourselves, or asked our audience, was why are customers looking to move towards MSSPs? Now, as you can see here, over half of organisations that we surveyed are still using security services in-house. So 62% are managing their own security and 38% are outsourcing. However, this scale is shifting, and I believe it will continue to shift. So 23% of end users who are currently managing their security in-house are now looking to get help from external providers. But why are they looking to get help from external providers? What is actually driving this behaviour within end user customers? And as you can see here, there's a number of different reasons that we identified when we were speaking to the end user customers. But the main thing, as you can see here, is all around the skills and knowledge of the security team. As you can see, 60% are looking are moving because they don't have the skills in-house, and another 48% are moving because they don't have the inability to recruit. As we've all heard about this, the cyber skills security shortage, and this is still very prevalent today. Cost efficiencies, of course, is a big one. Everybody's looking to save money where they can without compromising their services and their security. But also, which I found interesting, was that 30% are looking to shift accountability. So they want to move the security away from their own organisation and put the responsibility in the hands of another organisation. So some very interesting results there. So then the next question we asked the customers that we were speaking to is that when you are looking for, you have made the decision to work with a managed security service provider, what are you looking for? Are you looking to integrate to completely and utterly outsource your security operations? So hand completely over to an MSSP who will completely manage your SOC for you. And as you can see, 36% of our participants actually said that was something they were looking to do. 35% actually said that they didn't want to completely hand over their security to another organisation. They wanted to do it as more of a partnership, more of a hybrid model. So they would continue to keep some sort of security team in-house, but they would be working with an MSSP to help them implement their security operations service. So they could use the expertise that maybe they're missing in-house, but they don't completely outsource entirely. And 35% of organisations were looking to do that. And then finally, 29% of the organisations that we spoke to were just very much about, they just wanted some advice about how to work with some security solutions. So this is when they work with organisations such as yourselves around, advisory. It's more of a resale relationship. So they just want some help and some advice on how to implement their security. So as you can see, there's a number of different reasons why organisations would speak to MSSP providers. So there's a lot of opportunities to work together. So that's what they're looking for in an MSSP, but why would they actually consider moving, and what are some of the big factors that they actually feel in this situation? As you can see here, though, it's very much around quality of services. They very much want to be very assured to the fact that anybody that they're working with, like anything that we do in life, is providing a very good quality of service, and the reputation of the provider is very specific, is very clear, and is very reputable in the industry. Price, of course, is a big area as well, and also breadth of services offering. So if you take these factors into consideration, it means that when an MSSP is looking for a security vendor, they need to keep these types of aspects into consideration. So, we need to work with an organisation who can help them provide a quality of service, who will make sure that, the products that they invest in is making sure that their reputation is maintained in the industry, and they are able to offer a competitive price that they can pass on to their customers. So taking all this into consideration, what is it that MSSP providers or MSSP organisations are looking for when they're looking at a security vendor? So as you can see here, there's a number of different things that the MSSP provider is looking from a security vendor, but the main thing is they want a reliable and effective technology. They want to be able to manage and mitigate risks, and they want to show that it's a proven efficiency, so that they can develop these into services that they can take back to their customers. Compliance and sovereignty is also extremely important. A lot of the MSSPs that we've been speaking to, data sovereignty is a massive issue for them right now, particularly keeping the data within Europe. And we're hearing all the time about compliances, NIS2, GDPR, HIPAA, and so on. So these compliances and data sovereignty issues are absolutely key when a MSSP is looking for a vendor. And also, one of the things that we found out as well, that it's really important to an MSSP that they're working with a security vendor who is making sure they keep up to date with cybersecurity and trends. They need to make sure that their vendor is, knows of all the latest cyber attacks, has the highest quality of engineers and development teams, that they can make sure that they are building the best product that they can do to provide to the MSSP, who can then also provide on to their customers. So there's a lot of things to think about when an MSSP is looking for a security vendor. And then just finally, another interesting question that we asked the MSSP providers that we were looking for is what is important when you're selecting a security operation solution? Are you looking for a hybrid or hyperscaler technology suite? So lots of different technologies in different areas, or are you preferring a dedicated solution with one vendor that can help you mitigate specific security risks and vulnerabilities within an organization's IT environment? And as you can see, overridingly, MSSP providers are looking very much for a dedicated solution. Another area that we found is very, very important to MSSP providers is that they want to work in collaboration with their security vendor. As we said, when we're talking to customers, quality of service, pricing, reputation of provider is absolutely essential for an MSSP provider to provide the best service to their customers. So we need to make sure that we are providing that with our MSSP providers, and that's all about collaboration. So the next question, when we looked at, so this is the results of our survey, but then the next question that we asked is, why are customers looking specifically at SIEM? And I'm now going to hand you over to Paul to take you through that area.
Perfect, thank you, Gail. If you want to go to the next slide, that's great. The first reason really is that the SIEM market is definitely growing explosively. So on average, over 17% a year, and predicted to be, 18 billion in a few years' time. So people that think SIEM is going away or they can be replaced by EDR or XDR or something like this are pretty much dead wrong. We're seeing a lot more cyber attacks. We're definitely wanting to have a SIEM that's going to be European based, which is definitely Logpoint. And there's a lot of regulatory frameworks such as HIPAA, well, GDPR in the EU, and certainly there's some local ones as well in UK and different countries. So want to go to the next slide, please, Gav? On the different regulations, this is the main reason that people would use SIEM, so just to be compliant. So the latest ones, obviously, we've got NIS2 that is reasonably recent. You're seeing a lot of DORA stuff coming out at the moment as well. In particular, we're looking at the European Cyber Security Act and e-privacy and the Cyber Resilience Act. And you'll see there's various versions of this kind of thing within different countries as well. So that's something where you can understand what the different things that you're going to log and understand what the traffic is and what the activity is in your network and be able to tell an auditor what actually happened, either if you had a breach or at a standard audit, is very important. So SIEM is pretty much front and center as part of that. So next slide, please, go. So what does Logpoint do? So essentially the way that we would help with managed services is the main thing is we have a unified solution for security monitoring. So we start with the SIEM, and you know us for being a SIEM vendor. Part of that has always been SOAR, which is the automation and response. And of late, in the last few months, we now have an offering for NDR. So we can now do network analysis on people's networks as well. And all of those things work and play nice together. So it's a unified solution for security monitoring. The threat detection and response, well, what we're trying to really do now is become really good at the threat detection part. The SOAR has always been around. We've got SOAR capability to actually understand what's going on in your network and be able to respond to anything that shouldn't be happening. So we can isolate hosts and do things with Active Directory to prevent users or hosts of getting into the network. The NDR has a blocking capability as well. So if it sees anything that shouldn't be happening on the network, you have the option to block the connection as well. Typically that uses TCP reset, but we can play nice with other different methods of doing that as well. But the idea here is that we're automating our response to what's happening in the network. So it's basically helping you with the response time by being able to do things automatically. The multi-tenancy stuff is very important for MSSP. So the idea is that we can be scalable. We have multi-tenant architecture. We have currently we're using Director to be able to do that, but there's an equivalent for NDR as well, which is called NDR Central. And what we'll try and do is get those things moving together as we go forward. So that'll actually be a very nice way of being able to deal with multi-tenancy and scalability. The log point premise really is that we can put the SIEM pretty much anywhere. So unlike relying completely on cloud, as you'll see in a minute, we'll be able to put the SIEM on premise as well. So that's actually quite nice. And you'll be able to manage all of that stuff as a discrete network if you so wish. On the compliance and reporting side, this is the main reason that people would use SIEM in the first place. So just to be able to help you meet the regulatory and industry compliance standards, so GDPR and NIS2 and so on. Really, the SIEM has quite an extensive set of reporting, as well as different detections, as well as different ways to be able to search through your logs. So it's covering the audit tick box, I suppose, in a pretty nice way, and as a center of your network. The final part is the cost-effective and flexibility part. So you can pretty much run this anywhere. So what we've been looking at recently is being able to do this in sovereignty clouds. So in UK, there's a good sovereignty cloud called ASOC, and we have some in Germany, in France, and pretty much all over the place. So you can run Logpoint on those clouds if you so wish, and have it as a hosted SIEM, but within the data region that you need it to be in. You can host it yourself. So if you want to put it on your own premises, you can actually host it yourself and do this stuff yourself on your own tin. We have a SaaS option if you want to use that. And NDR and log collection, we can do this pretty much either at the client premises. So if you want something discrete, that's great. Or if you want to put it in the cloud, that's equally great. So next slide, please go. So SIEM, as we kind of say over and over again, is pretty much part of what Gartner call the SOC visibility triad. So there's three components to that. So one part is SIEM, another part is NDR. So we cover both of those things now with the same vendor. And the idea with the EDR is that you'll bring your own. So we're going to play nice with most vendors that you would care to name. So the Microsoft, CrowdStrike, Paolo, all of these things that people use for EDR. You can bring that stuff into your network, so you don't have to worry about that part of it. Having said that, we have things like an agent, if you want to just do endpoint login or something that supports the SOAR actions. We have an agent called Agent X that does that. There is an equivalent with the NDR as well. So there's an agent that actually performs NDR functions that sends the data to the NDR if we want to do that as well. But the point here is that you can gather the information, you can block stuff pretty much when you need to. So if it's an EDR, it will be blocking as whatever it is happens. In the case of our Agent X, you'd have to rely on SOAR actions to do the blocking, so there's nothing automatic necessarily. And basically the idea in general with SIEM anyway is you're just going to log as many supported sources as you can. So it could be firewalls, could be servers, endpoints, as I say with EDR, or NDR, you can just put it on the network and just let it go and monitor the network. So with that, I'll hand it back to Gail.
Thanks, Paul. So yeah, that was really interesting. So we've talked about what customers and MSSPs are looking for. We've talked about how SIEM is important and what Logpoint can do to help. But I also just wanted to finish off by looking at how Logpoint is working with MSSPs. So at the beginning of it, well, we've also Logpoint have worked with MSSPs for a long time, but it's really important to us that we want to be the #1 choice for MSSPs. So there's a number of different ways that we work very closely with MSSP partners like yourself. As Paul mentions a lot of this, but just to reiterate, one of the things that one of our key benefits is our flexible and predictable pricing model. We have a number of EU certifications, including the fact that we are EAL3+ certified. And Paul talked a lot about the platform in terms of unified customer management. We have a high level of control, and we also have a very strong world-class support system team, which makes it very attractive for MSSP partners to work with LogPoint. However, at the beginning of this year, well, actually last month, we actually reintroduced our new partner program for MSSPs that we are really excited about. And our whole objective of introducing this program is to make sure that we are working collaboratively with partners so we can ensure that together we are offering security and value to your end user customers. So on end of March, we actually launched our new partner program for MSSPs, which is known as LogPoint Collaborate, because collaboration is absolutely key to working together, and it's one of the things that we identified as part of our survey. So what does LogPoint Collaborate mean for our MSSP partners? So we have a number of MSSP partners that we work with across all of our major regions. And what we've done recently is that we've introduced a new program, and we'll talk about some of the benefits of that in a moment. But we've actually introduced a new statuses for our MSSP program. So we can work collaboratively with our MSSP partner depending on the type of organisation that they are. So we talked about earlier about an organisation, an end user customer might want to completely outsource their security to an MSSP partner. Some of them might want to work more collaboratively from a resale perspective. So our statuses really reflect the type of relationship that you have with your customer. And we have three different areas here. We have our elite MSSP, which are those organisations that have a fully integrated SOC and work very much collaboratively with a number of partners. We have our expert, who are probably a little bit smaller, but they work with a whole wide range of end users. And we have our essential partners. So our essential partners are those MSSPs that have just started their LogPoint journey, and we work with you very collaboratively to make sure that you have everything you need to be able to develop your LogPoint relationship with your partners, with your customers. So in terms of what does this mean? So as we say, depending on the type of status that you fall into, depends on the amount of different types of benefits that you get. Everybody has access to the program. There's a number of different benefits that you get of being part of the program. So you have access to all our systems. You have access to our program pack, which we'll talk about in a moment. You have access to all our marketing materials and our webinars. And we also have access to our self-service training, which is our LogPoint Academy. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Depending on the type of status that you fall into, you can have further benefits, including access to marketing funds, access to a lead referral program that we have. And if you're at the top level, we have a number of different initiatives such as advisory councils and customer referral programs that helps you develop your LogPoint journey and helps you develop your LogPoint skills as well. So there is a number of different areas and lots of different benefits that you can enjoy as part of being part of the LogPoint Collaborate program. So what does this mean? So in terms of when you join the LogPoint Collaborate program, there is a program pack, which is part of the initial relationship, and you get a number of different elements for in part of the program pack. As Paul talked about, we have Director, which is our multi-tenancy solution for MSSPs, but there's lots of different other elements that you get as part of this pack. You get a number of a number of free seats of training. So we talk about user and admin, we talk about SOAR, we talk about Director, and NDR, which of course is relatively new to us at LogPoint, and that is included in the training package as well. We offer not for resale licenses in terms of SIEM and NDR, so it gives you an opportunity to get familiar with the product and to use it for your own purposes. And we have a number of other things that help you sort of learn more and more about LogPoint. We have a success plan, so that enables you to help get onboarded. And we do have a number of different elements that helps you learn more about the industry. So as we identified, many MSSPs like to work with partners to for those who understand more about some of the threats that are coming in. We are developing a lot of training material for our partners that not only talk about LogPoint specifically as a product, but talk about the industry and talk about some of the services that we offer that can help you develop to your customers. So the program pack will be the initial purchase that MSSPs have as part of the program, but you do get a lot of different areas as part of this pack. So the Academy, so we talk a lot about the Academy, and this is something that's both close to both mine and Paul's heart. So the Academy is our training portal, and this is something that we are really developing because we want to make sure that our MSSP partners are not just coming to us, as I said, about learning about how to use Director or how to use LogPoint. We want it to be very much to come to learn more about the industry, to learn more about some threats, to learn more about how you can develop more services to take to your customers. So all of our certification training is on the Academy. It's self-service, so you can do it at your own time. We have onboarding training that we're just in the process of finalising. So when you do come on board with LogPoint, you will go through both the sales and technical training session. And then, as we said, we have services training. So we want to make sure that the services that we offer to our customers, we offer to you to provide to your customers. So the services that your customers have by working through an MSSP partner is exactly the same as it would be if they were working directly with a LogPoint. We also have a number of masterclasses as well. So this is something that we developed a few years ago. So this is a 20-minute sort of training session, which is done by either our customer success engineers or our pre-sales engineers, and it's just talking about a particular element of LogPoint. It could be a use case, it could be a new product update, it could be talk about a particular certification, but this is just providing you with more and more information so you can really maximize your investment in LogPoint. So the LogPoint Academy, you get access to that as part of the program pack, but this is something that we are really developing to make sure that all of our partners are getting as much training as they possibly can. We have a partner portal. As you can see here, we have a number of different elements. So we have a MSSP section, we have an NDR section, asset library. We're constantly developing this. So this is a tool that we offer to MSSP partners, and it is something that we want everybody to use. So again, to get you as self-sufficient as possible when speaking to customers. And then we have a co-marketing program as well. This is something that is very, very new. So we work with partners historically, but we have actually formalised our co-marketing program so that if you have an activity that you would like to run with LogPoint, whether it's an event or a webinar or digital marketing activity, you can ask for funding to support this. It is done via our partner portal. It comes through to the team here. You will get an answer within 48 hours, and then you will carry out the activity, and then you would invoice us afterwards. What we would ask you to do in collaboration with that is to make sure that any opportunities that are generated are communicated back via your account manager, because the more ROI that we can demonstrate for some of these marketing activities, the more that we can support moving forward. As I said, this is something that is very new, and we're really excited to offer this to our partners. Also, we would like this to be part of a business plan that you develop with partners, but then we collaboratively can work together to grow both of our businesses based on this co-marketing fund. And then coming soon, so we have a number of different activities that are coming up over the coming months that you will maybe interested to join to further your LogPoint knowledge. So we had NDR masterclass, which took place a couple of weeks ago. So this, as I said, is a 20-minute overview on NDR. We launched our 7.6 product last week, so there's a webinar around that. So that's available on the website. And we have a couple of other webinars that we have coming up over the coming weeks. So we have one on log storage on the 13th of May. That's another masterclass. So it's another 30-minute session that can talk around how you store logs. Our next one is around MITRE ATT&CK framework. And then we have some webinars coming up as well. So we talked a lot about the report today. We will be deep diving a little bit more into the report moving forward. So we will be starting a webinar series in May and June that talks a bit more in detail about some of these activities. And also, if you do join the programme, we have a quarterly update webinar for our MSSP partners. So this includes things like product roadmap, it includes updates from our executive team, so anything that would benefit you as an MSSP partner as part of the Collaborate programme. We have the research report, if anybody's interested in seeing that. It is a really, really good read, and as we shared some of the information with you today, but it's something that we will be continuing to look into to provide value to our MSSP partners. And so just in summary, really, as we talked about, there is a shift between in-house managed security, and it's moving towards managed security services. At the moment, it's over half of our customers are still using in-house, but we are really expecting that shift to change. And that is why organisations such as yourself are so important to the future of cybersecurity. As we found out, quality and reputation of service are key to finding an MSSP. So, of course, that means that MSSPs need to find a security vendor that can help them provide that. Management and implementation are equally important to a customer. Some people want to completely outsource their entire entire cybersecurity strategy. Other people just want some help. So there's lots and lots of different ways that we can collaboratively work with end user customers to support this. Migrating and managing and migrating risk are a key component for MSSPs when choosing a vendor. And that's why we said that SIEM is such a key part of this, because that is absolutely essential in a cybersecurity strategy. And as Paul talked about, the SIEM market is growing explosively. So between finding out what customers want, finding out what MSSPs want, and with the explosion of SIEM as a marketplace, we are very excited at LogPoint to be part of this and to be introducing our Collaborate programme to work with organisations such as yourself to securely drive value and security into your end user customers. So that's it from our side. Anything else to add, Paul?
All good, thank you, Gail.
Okay.
I don't know, were there any questions?
I haven't seen any questions come through, so we must have answered everything. But if you do have any questions moving forward, please feel free to reach out to myself or Paul or our partner at logpoint.com email address. If you would like access to the report, if you'd like to talk to somebody a bit more about the Collaborate programme, please feel free to reach out. As I mentioned, this will be recorded, so we will have this available on the website in the coming days. But no, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining today. We hope you found it interesting. We look forward to working with you moving forward. So thank you and have a great day.